The Tombow Fudenosuke is one of the most popular and highly recommended brush pens for beginners. So this is the hard tip brush pen. This brush pen actually comes with a hard tip and a soft tip option. We're going to be focusing on the hard tip one right now, but the soft tip is very similar, and I'll show some demonstrations at the end. So this hard tip pen, you can see it's relatively short and it's a small tip. So let's start filling out this chart. So the nib type is felt. It doesn't have any bristles. And the size, so if you look at how small this is definitely on the smallest end of the brush pen size spectrum. So we're going to put an X right here, close to the extra fine. So for flexibility, the nib is very firm compared to a lot of the more flexible brush pens and compared to the soft version of it. These are water-based. It actually says right on here that it's water-based. And the colors, so for the hard tip, it comes in black, and the soft tip comes in black as well. But then the hard tip also recently came out with colors. So these are the colors, and there are 10 colors, although one of them is black, so technically 9, but we'll put 10 colors here. Okay, and so I'm going to show you some demonstrations of these brush pens, and then we'll talk about some other things about them. So the hard tip brush pen, you can tell it's a hard tip right on the label. It says hard tip right here. That may not focus. Hard tip. So it says hard tip on this one, and then this one right now just says S. It's WSBS, which means brush soft tip. So it looks like they're transitioning to make them say hard tip or soft tip on them. But anyway, this is the soft one is more of a blackish olive green color, and the hard tip is a navy blue case. So the soft tip is black, and this still has black ink even though the case is navy blue. So the hard tip, if we just do some strokes, we can see I have to push down pretty hard on the paper to get some thick strokes, but getting my thin upstrokes is pretty easy. You can see that because the tip is so firm, it doesn't take a whole lot of concentration to get some thin strokes. So then if we were to transition between them, you can see that there's plenty of contrast between the thicks and the thins. So it does take some pressing down to get those thick strokes. And I do notice, I've noticed this before, and these are relatively new, that sometimes if you write really fast, the ink kind of looks like streaky or like it's dried up a little bit. And I've had these dry out in the past. So just be careful, make sure you always keep the cap on tightly. So these are stiff and they're really good if you're heavy-handed. Now just to show you what the soft one looks like. So here are the thick strokes I can get with my soft tip one. Again, you can see a little bit of that ink spotting or running out if I go too fast. If I go really slowly, then the ink is a lot more solid. And you'll be going slowly anyway with brush lettering. Now getting thin strokes, it takes a little bit more concentration because the brush tip is soft, and they're not quite as thin as the thin strokes you can get with the hard tip. So just to show you some lettering with this, this is the soft tip, and I'm not naturally very heavy-handed, so I don't have much trouble using the soft tip, but if you do tend to press really hard, it might be a little bit more difficult to get your thin strokes with the soft tip pen. Okay, so just to jot down some of those notes, there's a soft tip and a hard tip option, and it would say brush soft or brush hard on the case so you know which one is which, or you can just remember that the hard tip one is the navy one. Okay, another note that I wanted to just point out is that the ink can look streaky or dry, especially if you're writing really fast, and we saw that a few times. Now let's look at some of the colors. So again, the colors are all hard tip. They don't have them in soft tip yet. And these are water-based, so you can blend them. Now, the colors of these are pretty nice. They have a pretty good variety. They're not quite as vibrant or even bright as some other brush pen colors, and the Tombow, the company that makes this pen, also makes larger tip pens, and the colors don't exactly match with those. These are a lot more transparent in my opinion. They're a little bit more muted, so they don't show up quite as brightly, especially for some of the colors. Like just comparing that ink to the color of the cap, you can see how much lighter the ink is. So that's just something to consider, but these are really nice and stiff. So again, if you are heavy-handed, then these would be a great option for you. You can see how much contrast you can get between those thick and thin strokes with not much effort. Okay, so just to jot that down, colors are the hard tip, and they are not very, I'm gonna say not very, they're bright, they're not very, what's the word, opaque. So they're a little bit transparent. Okay. But that is our review of the Tombow Fudenosuke. Again, they're a really great pen, especially for beginners, and they do come now in 10 colors and have those soft and hard options for black.